BT Sports presents the Chevy Rock and Roll 400, live from Richmond, Virginia. It is NASCAR's biggest last chance race. A short list of stars and just a handful of seats left in the chase for the Nextel Cup. I gotta tell you, this place is just charged with electricity already, and we haven't even started the motors yet, but that's coming up soon. Let's send it upstairs to the three guys that get to call it all for you. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and Benny Parsons.
Yeah, what an atmosphere here in Richmond tonight, Bill, and we're looking forward to a great race. So 8 drivers racing for 3 positions in the championship chase. Wally, they've been building up to this moment now for a couple of days. They've been here at the racetrack all day as they get ready to start and as they go through the race tonight. What are they thinking? What are they feeling?
They're thinking they want to get this night over. These guys have been tore up. Their stomachs have been in knots. There's a lot of pressure, and these guys have been thinking about it. They all say, well, we're just going to go out and we're going to race and see what happens. Believe me, they're going to be thinking about it. They're going to be talking to the teams during the race, finding out where they are in that points deal because they want to be in it bad. Tonight's the night.
Now, the 8 drivers trying to lock up one of those final chase positions. That's less than a fifth of the field. BP, what about the rest of the guys? What are they thinking as this night goes on?
Well, those 7 guys that already have this championship, the run for the championship locked up, they've got to go tonight and try to run as best they can because next week at Loudon, this thing starts to reel. They need every point they can get, so they need some momentum going into Loudon. How about those other 28 cars you asked? I'm glad I asked because, folks, all they can do is go out on a very slick, hard racetrack and try to win this thing.
It's going to be interesting to see. And we got some guys starting in the back like Jarrett and Harvick and McMurray. If they play some pit strategy to get to the front, we'll find out. The anticipation of this night began back over the winter when NASCAR first unveiled this chase format. A great race at a great place. Now tonight made even better by the chase for the championship. Let's get things started. Oh, the countdown was a false one. They were ready to get things started, and then they said, well, wait, we got to get that stage off the racetrack. Let's talk about McMurray and Jarrett and so on, BP. We saw in last night's NASCAR Busch Series some tire strategies that we might see these guys play in the early part of the race.
You know you're going to see that quickly tonight because Jamie McMurray starting back there. He needs to get to the front as quick as he can, and he's got a good race car.
So if we get an early caution, expect to see some of those guys take tires when the leaders stay out on the racetrack and try and get some track position a little bit later on. How about take 2 on that command to start engines? Let's go trackside and get the night going.
And now, race fans, please welcome once again General Motors Vice President of Global Sales, Service, and Marketing, John Middlebrook, for those most famous words in motorsports.
Good evening, fans. On behalf of Chevrolet, it's time to rock and roll. So, gentlemen, start your engine!
The fans needed any extra excitement, but the sound of those 43 800 horsepower engines just raised the adrenaline a whole new level here at the Richmond International Raceway. It's about time to get this show on the road. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. Ryan Newman with his 5th Bud Pole Award of the season in qualifying, putting him second to Jeff Gordon in the season-long standings. Budweiser congratulates Ryan Newman for this weekend's race, the latest Budweiser Shootout eligible driver. 43 to start tonight's Chevy Rock and Roll 400. Mark Martin, one of the chasers, hoping to collect 5 bonus points by leading a lap early. He's on the outside of row 1.
But so does the pole sitter Ryan Newman back in row 2. Jimmy Johnson, Nextel point leader, and Joe Nemechek. One of those 28 just wants to win.
Jeff Burton finished 4th here last September. He's in row 3 with Ricky Rudd, the 2001 race winner, has a birthday tomorrow.
Inside of row 4, Jeremy Mayfield, 55 points behind 10th, and Greg Biffle, another one of the 28, just wants to win.
Row 5, Jeff Gordon. 2 wins here at Richmond, looking to add to that total tonight, and Jeff Green driving for Richard Petty.
On the inside of row 6, Casey Kane, 9th, 34 points out of 11th, and Rusty Wallace, 6 wins on this 3/4 mile oval.
2 top 10s in his first 3 Nextel Cup starts for Carl Edwards. He shares row 7 with Dale Earnhardt Jr., looking to sweep the Richmond races in 2004.
Tony Stewart has 3 wins here. Matt Kenseth, last year's champion on the outside.
Kurt Busch, a lot of folks think he could be a threat to win this race. He locks up his chase position by finishing 42nd or better tonight at Bobby Labonte. Got to get into the top 10. He fell out last week in California.
Michael Waltrip, Elliott Sadler. Elliott, last week's winner in California in row 10.
The rookie Scott Wimmer and Bobby Hamilton Jr. going to share row number 11 tonight. It'll be Texas Terry Labonte, the two-time champion, coming from row number 12 along with Sterling Marlin.
And back in the 13th row on the inside, Dale Jarrett has an 88 car, and Brian Vickers.
Dale Jarrett, 43 points outside the top 10. There's another one of the chasers deep in the field, Kevin Harvick. Fell to 15th in the standings last week in California. He's got a long way to go to get to the front tonight.
Second race for Shane Mill on the outside of row 15. Inside of row 16, Kyle Petty and Kenny Schrader on the outside.
Mike Bliss driving for Joe Gibbs and David Green with his Busch Series team, Bruco Racing, in their inaugural Nextel Cup start.
And there we see Scott Riggs on the outside, Jamie McMurray. This is how far this kid has to go to try to get in the top 10 in NASCAR Nextel Cup points tonight.
And the rest of the starting field for tonight's race will tell you that Scott Riggs and Jimmy Spencer will have to drop to the end of the line. They made engine changes during the weekend. That is a violation of a NASCAR rule that only allows you one engine change, or one engine to use through the entire race weekend. Final spot on the field to Kirk Shelmerdine, and there are the 43 drivers that'll run 400 laps tonight on this very quick 3/4 mile track. Huge field of cars attempted to get into the race. And you see the drivers who failed to qualify.
Johnny Sauter was 39th fastest, only to take 38 cars on time. He was driving one of Richard Childress's cars.
And the cars continuing to warm along the pit lane. They'll be rolling out onto the speedway in mere seconds from now. Hope you got a high-def TV in your house. A high-definition production of tonight's telecast brought to you by New Line Cinemas. Cellular, now in theaters. 107,097 seats here at Richmond International Raceway, including the suites and so forth. And they're all full.
Well, they're empty right now.
Because they're all standing in front of them?
Exactly.
As the field of 4. And as they complete the warm-up laps on the racetrack, let's check down on pit road where the crews make their final preparations.
As he goes for his 5th championship. Matt Kenseth throws off 16 tonight. Now he is 5th in points. That means he has clinched a berth in the final 10 race for a chase for his 2nd Nextel Cup. Now he does have one victory here. In fact, in the last 5 races, his worst finish is 7th. But crew chief Robbie Reiser told me they were fighting like a lot of teams here in Richmond, a tight condition in the center of the corner. They made a lot of changes in that race car. It'll take 5 or 10 laps to let them know if they're headed in the right direction. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, former Richmond winner Tony Stewart starts 15th, driving the car he finished 4th with here in May. The team told me this morning they have made several small changes, trying to take what they felt like was a top 10 car and make it a top 5 or a winning car here this evening. One thing you watch out for from the 20 car tonight, Tony loves the bottom lane of the racetrack. That's where he'll stay all night long, Alan.
One of the great things about this Richmond racetrack is generally both lanes work equally as quick, but we saw in last night's Busch Series race that if a guy could make his car hug that bottom and go fast, he was going to be in fine shape.
He's going to have something going for him, because about the middle of the racetrack ended up being the fastest spot last night. And when Robbie Gordon got in the middle of the racetrack, Casey Edwards appeared to have the fastest car, could not get by him. So you've got to get working either on the very top or the very bottom.
Yeah, don't forget Casey Kane was working pretty good up on the top in that Busch race. So, yeah, this racetrack is a great place to see a lot of side-by-side racing, and I don't think it's going to be any different tonight.
Check out this on pit road as the cars were getting ready to pull off onto the racetrack from where they were gridded along the pit lane. Watch Shane Meal and Casey Mears. White car in the red. Whoops.
Oh, my goodness.
We had a wreck and the race hadn't even started yet.
Wow, whoever expected those guys to stop on pit road.
Look at that. Little brace, little piece of the fender fiberglass hanging off the back of the Casey Mears car. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, that's no problem there in that 41 car.
Unless it comes off that car, then they'll have to throw a caution flag, because it could puncture a tire if it should come off.
I know, looking from these pictures and from up here in the broadcast booth where we can see the entire racetrack, those flash bulbs going off are just a spectacular sight. What that must be like to these already nervous drivers in their race cars.
This is one of the places where you do really notice the fans on your pace lap, because it is at night, everything stands out, and you definitely see all those flashes on the cameras. It's pretty cool.
When we have the flyover tonight, when those
the cars are, when they wave that green flag, the drivers on the bubble in those positions for the championship chase. Just going to be on pins and needles, not just the bubble.
They're going to be sweating.
Waiting to see if an accident happens in the first few laps and they get swept up into it.
All right, folks, as we see a race analysis, check this out. Pit window, it's going to be very, very critical tonight. You know, because if they get that caution flag with about 1:35 to go, I think everybody's going to try to stop and stay on the racetrack. Track position is everything.
Been talking about it all summer. Tonight we find out who gets in and who is left out in the chase for the Nextel Cup. We're underway at Richmond as the green flag waves.
Newman got a great start. He got way up high. Robbie Gordon way up along the wall in 1 and 2 there.
Pulled it down and saved it.
Looks like he did not hit anything. I don't think he made contact with the outside retaining wall. Looks like he has a flat tire. Maybe just can't get back. And Jimmy Johnson already, the 48 car, going for the lead.
Now, Ryan Newman did lead that first lap. If you're new to NASCAR, the way that points are awarded in these NASCAR races, if a driver leads a lap during the night, any lap, he gets 5 bonus points toward the championship in addition to whatever he earns for his finishing position. So Ryan Newman, trying to hang on to 8th spot and his place in the chase, has already picked up 5 extra points.
And those 5 points don't sound like a lot, but tonight they are a bunch. Every single point is really important for those guys that are trying to get in the top 10.
As you watch the ticker and the running order come across the top of your screen, a couple of changes tonight from what you normally see. The drivers' names in green, like Casey Kane, are in the chase for the championship as they run on the racetrack. A driver whose name is in white is not involved in it. It doesn't affect him tonight. A driver whose name in yellow has a chance to get in the championship in this race, but if his name is still in yellow, he's not in it at this moment. So you can keep track of whether your favorite driver's making the cut or not making the cut as the night goes on.
We will be.
Yep.
I was kidding with Casey Kane. I'm sure Jamie McMurray, he's telling me how nervous he was before the race. And he said his family back home are going to watch this, and they'll be nervous as he was. I said, well, we'll keep them up to date because our ticker will be green and yellow. They'll let you know immediately. We'll let them know immediately if you're in or out.
Jimmy Johnson, the race leader. Ryan Newman second. Mark Martin third. Jeff Burton fourth. Jeremy Mayfield fifth. This a race between Ricky Rudd and Jeff Green for 8th and 9th. Green in the 43, Rudd in the 21. You're riding with Joe Nemechek in the 0-1, the Army car. He runs in 7th.
Ooh, Joe got a little bit loose getting into turn 3 over there. Slid up the racetrack, lost 2 spots, maybe a 3rd. And we saw a lot of that last night in the Busch race. We saw a lot of guys having trouble with turn 3. Getting into the corner, the cars would, it seems like they get on the brakes and the cars would jump a little bit sideways.
See Rusty Wallace moving forward in the 2 car. That's going to put Rusty up to 9th. A 6-time winner here at Richmond. He could be hard to handle by the end of the night.
I'll tell you another thing we saw that we'll have to keep an eye on, BP, is
trouble turn 4. Todd Bodine. Caution flag is out. And a 1-car accident.
Go ahead and finish what I was talking about. A lot of times you'll see guys diving down into the corner underneath somebody and they lose that traction and slide up into another car. We saw that a lot, and that's going to happen tonight, I'm sure.
See if we can see what happened to Todd Bodine. He goes in the corner and just simply gets too high, loses traction, and when he does, that wall is right there.
Crunch. Oh, look at the bits and pieces flying off it. So Bodine's on pit road, and we're under caution for the first time in the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 after 8 of 400 laps in Richmond.